We've been hearing the same feedback from agencies across every vertical. Compliance management is eating up too much of your team's time. You're manually tracking different requirements for warehouse workers versus healthcare staff. Your recruiters are scrambling to figure out what documents each candidate needs for each job. And when someone's certification expires mid-placement, you're playing catch up instead of staying ahead. Today, I'm walking you through compliance item sets, our solution to help you manage compliance requirements across your entire operation. Instead of building compliance requirements from scratch for every job, you'll create reusable sets that automatically flow from your clients down to your individual placements. Your team gets consistent processes, candidates get clear requirements, and you get the visibility to prevent compliance issues before they impact revenue. Let me show you how this changes your compliance workflow. First, as a bit of foundation, we've made numerous changes to your settings area. Here in candidate settings, you'll see a new block for compliance item sets. We've also moved the compliance items themselves over to the candidate settings so that they are here with the sets. A new field for default item right here on the right of your compliance items table. This gives you the power to decide whether that item should or should not be created on each candidate record that's created in the system. At the top, you have a new setting that will allow you to create default compliance items or not. Heading back to the compliance item area, you'll notice there aren't any additional changes to the items themselves, but that we have our new record block for sets right here. What this will let you do is add and edit your existing sets by searching for items here, adding items as needed over to the right, giving it a name, giving it a description, and clicking OK. In this example, my forklift driver set has a driver's license, a background check, an I-9, and a forklift operator certificate. Now that I've built my set, what we can do is we can go over to our company record. And here you'll see a new block for compliance sets where you can add as many sets as you like. Where this is helpful is for those companies that have multiple different positions. And being that you can select multiple sets, it will make it simple for the person creating the job to choose the set that's specific for that company. Let's go ahead and add new compliance set as well. And now you can see that we have two sets for this company. Here I can also view the items, and if needed, and with privileges, I could edit this set in Tools and Settings. Now let's jump to a contact record. Here's my hiring manager for the company, and we're going to have the same opportunity here to apply our compliance sets. So if you remember, we have two on the company, we have two here on the hiring manager. They are a bit different, and we'll see how that works downstream. But here again, I could add sets to this hiring manager or contact record. I'm going to go ahead and add a new job right here. And we'll go to OK and edit. And you'll notice that I have compliance items at the job level as well. When I go to add set, this is going to reference both my company and my hiring manager and give me an easy way to select the proper set for this job. If I don't want to store these at a company and contact level, I could tick this box and I could select from any of the other items that are available across the database. To keep things easy, let's go ahead and tick this box back off and add my forklift driver items. What you'll notice is that it doesn't add the set, rather it adds the individual compliance items to the job. If I need to add individual items, I can do that here as well. And I can reference any other items that I have in my system. Let's go ahead out to our long list and add a couple candidates. From here, let's take a couple candidates and move them over to the shortlist. What you'll notice is that these candidates have a new indicator. When I hover over, it'll tell me that this placement is not compliant. What that means is that that candidate does not have the required compliance items for the job. We've added another record block within the placement record where you can come in and you can take a look at the candidate compliance items to see how that candidate lines up with the job. Now, in this case, the compliance requirements are different than the items that the candidate has. This is not a problem because we've added a button here to add the missing compliance items to that candidate record, which we can do right here. On the short list, we've added one more handy feature. Here you can highlight all your candidates, go to your action menu, and add compliance items to candidates. This would add any missing compliance items to the selected candidates, but it will not touch those that are already there or being worked through. 2 new items have been added: our forklift operator, as well as our driver's license. This candidate still does not meet the requirements, so what we'll do now is we'll go over to the candidate record and take a look at the compliance. This would be a great opportunity to get the candidate over to the compliance item portal, which I can do with a template like this one. When Jane follows this link, she'll be taken out to the compliance portal, which will be mobile optimized, allowing her to interact with the various forms. If we go ahead and complete some of these, such as our forklift driver certificate with an expiration date, we can complete that one and get it ready for review. And this process would be repeated for anything that would be required for that job. Back on the candidate record, we can see that our certificate is now pending verification. What we've done in this block is we've made this a lot easier to manage as well. So this now has a multi-select where you could clear it out if needed, or pick individual items that you may not need for this candidate. So let's say in this case that we want to get rid of everything that's not required. We can go ahead and delete those compliance items. And then the compliance portal would be up to date for the candidate. As a reminder, when you have compliance items that are pending verification, these can be handled in tools and settings by going over to onboarding, compliance automation, and then going down to the pending verification grid. However, if needed, these can be verified right in the candidate record as well by opening up the item, viewing the supporting doc, and then picking verified. What I've done on the candidate record is I've marked all but the background check as verified. And now when we go back to the job, as you can see, I still have my indicator right here saying this placement's not compliant. When I jump into the placement record, here I can see that 3 items are verified, 1 is pending, and I've got this unverified background check right here. One other addition that we've made that we're really excited about is we are now blocking placements if you choose to do that based on compliance. Unable to advance, you can block from working status or working and offer. It's your choice. And it's doing that all because of the compliance that's set on the job. In the candidate record, once this does go to verified, back on the job, you'll see that the indicator will be removed when I refresh. And when I go to the placement record, what we'll have is a completed compliance area. If I jump back into background check and I mark this as unverified, and we go back to 3 of 4, you'll notice I have an override field here. Some users in the system will have access to override. So if I click this, I can enter my reason right here, hit OK. We can complete the verification. When you hover over, you can see the reason. This was added for cases where you may need a bachelor's degree for a certain position, but you have a master's degree on the candidate record. In this case, if a master's degree fulfills what you need on the bachelor's degree, you can simply override that requirement. You'll find this setting at the user group level back in Tools and Settings and User Group Privileges. We hope Compliance Item Sets addresses some of the operational challenges you've been facing with compliance management. This is just the beginning of what we're building in the compliance space within Tracker. We're committed to continuing the development of these capabilities based on your feedback and the evolving needs of your business. Thanks for watching.